I'm here at MeVitae to help share our company vision, which is to create fairness in the workplace by mitigating algorithmic and cognitive biases. Hopefully, this is the first of many podcasts. At MeVitae, we are planning to collaborate with many charities to create fairness within our society. And as a first step, we have joined forces with the Hope Foundation. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Steve, the director of the Hope Foundation. Steve has dedicated many of his years to the charity sector, where he has notably provided over a decade of Christmas meals and Christmas joy. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me today.
Would you like to talk more about, give us an intro of who Steve is and who the Hope Foundation is?
Yeah, fantastic. So, as Irene said, my name's Stephen. I've been working in the charity sector now for the past 12, 13 years. Sort of loads of different projects, but with a main focus on working with homelessness. So we set up the Hope Foundation in 2020, just during lockdown, actually. So it was an interesting time to set up, but it really helped us to see the real needs in the communities, to see where the community really needed support and help. So we set up the Hope Foundation. Since then, we've grown exponentially. We've partnered with local agencies, local councils, and most importantly, with people in those local communities to identify the need and outwork our projects. Currently, we run 5 different projects, everything from housing homeless people, working with refugees, working with families to help them with any issues financially, practically that they may have. Also providing people, local children with lunches during the school holidays. We run a parent toddler group, cooking classes, IT inclusion, and everything in the middle where people might find themselves with some sort of need.
Those cooking classes sound lovely. And the IT classes, I think I'd be needing them because I'm here and there with IT sometimes.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so in the beginning, what needs did you identify to begin with?
Yes, so I've been working in the charity sector for quite a while. There was always a real passion to do something with homelessness. Current projects that I'd worked in, we'd already identified there was quite a large need for good quality long-term housing across Liverpool and beyond. Wherever you're listening to this conversation right now, there will be need for housing in your locality. And that was our reality too. So we just thought, okay, what can we do to focus on this and actually make a difference? So we contacted the local council, contacted local agencies, and chatted to people who were experiencing housing poverty. And from there, we thought, okay, what is needed? Long-term supported accommodation, long-term family accommodation, and support for people who have nowhere else to go. Since then, obviously, COVID's happened. We're living with a cost of living crisis at the moment. The housing issue's much worse than it was when we started. So, yeah, so the original need was to work with housing. But we've always known housing is complex. It's not just people with no fixed accommodation, people who are struggling with accommodation. You can have someone who has savings in the account, who has a job, who doesn't know where if they're going to be able to afford their mortgage. That could lead to potential homelessness and housing issues. You could have families who've been fine for years, but then they suffer a bereavement or an issue, and then that leads them into a financial breakdown and homelessness and everything in between. So our initial idea, our initial goal was to solve homeless and housing poverty, but then that led us naturally down a path of working with people with employment issues, with in need of education and training, and then other areas as well. It's a whole complex area, but we try and support people in many different ways because independence, long-term independence, is our goal.
So it's all about giving the foundation to individuals and making them strong enough to, I guess, support themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Living, I was born in Liverpool, and um, we're known for our sort of Scouse attitude as we're all in this together, but also we love our city. But from a wider point of view, in English, there is a real British attitude to not ask for help. I can do this by myself. It's almost like a sign of weakness to ask for help in England. And we noticed that. So what we wanted to do was to try and make it firstly accessible for everyone and anyone, but also acknowledge that it is hard, but it is normal to ask for help, and it can be normal to ask for help. We've had so many people who have ended up in sort of worse positions because they just didn't know there was support available. And even when there was, they thought, well, there's always going to be people worse off. But our goal is to show everyone that we're here to work together, regardless of where you're at, because everyone should and can ask for help. That's what we're here for. So, yeah.
That is such a lovely outlook. And I guess it's quite a big reality as well, because a lot of people, I mean, I know that I shy away from asking for help sometimes, whether it be like assignments or like completing a task at work. And yes, it's such a real problem that people are having. And I'm glad that you have identified that and you're like helping everyone to find that support and be comfortable with asking for that support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of the reason why we do what we do. I've grown with lived experience of homelessness myself, living in one of the most deprived areas in the whole of Europe. So I saw the needs from a very young age, and it was something that was built into me, not to expert help. That's just the way things are. But I think when we work together in partnership, and this is why we love the new opportunity with MeVitae, because partnership enables us to work with more people, get the word out there, and make an even bigger impact.
I have two questions off of the back of what you said. I think I'll first talk about. So, you said your past and like you actually come from a deprived area as well. So, was that your fuel of going into the charity sector and helping the homeless?
Yeah, I suppose when you've had that experience, for me personally, I just wanted to make sure no one else has to experience that. I think we've came up with a solution with the Hope Foundation, and we can see an end to homelessness. A lot of people think it's an incredible, far off, never achieving, an achievable idea to end homelessness, and we can see a very clear route out of homelessness for a lot of people. Awareness is something that we need to build to make that a real thing. Partnership, definitely. We need to work with more people because we absolutely can't do it ourselves. So if the Hope Foundation say, "Oh, we want to try and end homelessness," that's we can't do it. We won't be able to do it. But the Hope Foundation, along with other organisations, businesses, local government councils, we can absolutely do it together. So that's the sort of thing. So growing up with that issue, growing up with those experiences, definitely gave me the passion and desire to first make sure no one else has to experience that, but also share with people. I've been through it. Other people are going through it. It sucks. It absolutely sucks, but there is a way out and there's a way forward if we work together.
That just sounds amazing. I'm like in awe by like everything you're doing and everything you're saying. I wanted to also ask, so you've been talking about partnerships as well. What other partnerships have you had and like how has that helped you with your vision?
Yes, so we partner with all the sorts of different organizations and businesses for different purposes. So we'll partner with local council to help us reach people who are desperate and in need. Council will refer people to us. And we'll also partner with local agencies and charities to receive referrals for some of the services we run. So we can help people financially, help people with housing, help people with advice. But also we can't do everything. So we also refer people to other agencies for further support. We try and be a one-stop shop, but also approach a holistic solution. So when people come to us, we can look at other areas, not just you need a house and you'll be fine once you get a house. It's okay, you need accommodation, you need a housing support. What else do you need? How can we work with you there? And then we partner. We also partner with local businesses. Some of them support us financially, some of them support us with time and volunteers. Quarter Liverpool. It's a large sort of shopping complex in Liverpool. and they have adopted us as their official charity partner, and they've been great over the years, supporting our Christmas meal, sending volunteers to come and help with us, and that's where our that's what we love. We love working with local businesses. MeVitae, for example, we love your vision to encourage equality and inclusivity. So we love that, and that's why we're really excited about the partnership with MeVitae as well.
I have to say thank you for plugging in MeVitae and saying such lovely words for us. Um, and you mentioned the Christmas meals. So when I was um, looking at what your charity already does, the Christmas meals really popped up to me. And what is it? It's been almost 13, maybe 14 years of Christmas
Yeah.
meals that you've
Mhm.
accommodated.
Yeah, so this is our 13th year this year running the Christmas meal. And if you would have asked me 13 years ago, what's the vision? My vision would have been do a few years to the point where nobody needs to come to us anymore, because the idea that we have to put on a Christmas meal is both a privilege, but also it's quite horrifying. We originally set up to work with homeless people in Liverpool, with an idea to feed 250 homeless people. We quickly realized, though, we were getting referrals from agencies working with elderly people in the community who were lonely and isolated, from GP surgeries and other frontline services working with families who had nothing on Christmas Day. So we decided to open it up. Obviously, homelessness was our passion and vision, but we opened it up for anyone experiencing loneliness, isolation, poverty, or homelessness. And we had around, I think it was 87 people on the first day. So it was much smaller than we expected, but thankfully it was much smaller because it was madness. It was the first year we did it. Every year since then, it's grown, the word's got out, and we do on average see around 250 people come along on Christmas Day. We provide a three-course meal, like a proper roast dinner, soup starter, big tray of desserts. There's teas and coffees throughout the event. There's activities for kids, bouncy castles, assault courses, all that sort of thing. We have live music on the stage. We play bingo, which gets super, super competitive, but it's a bunch of fun. And it's just a great day. I can't imagine doing anything else on my Christmas day now. Just having some of the people. We have some regulars who come along to us, elderly people who have no family, no friends, who ring up maybe 2 months in advance and say, it's a Christmas meal on this year. And it's always a joy. They can't wait. They're looking forward to it. And then we have families who come because they just can't afford to pay anything on Christmas Day. A couple of stories we've had. Last year, we had a family who contacted us just before the event, and the mother of the family had shared how on Christmas Day their plan was to do nothing. Maybe if they could afford it, have some toast, but they didn't have any presents for the kids. They just were not looking forward to Christmas. They had zero money in the bank. In fact, they were in debt. So we invited them along, and they were a bit apprehensive. But by the end of the event, they were just the smiles on their face. When they came in, you could tell that they were a bit nervous, a bit apprehensive. But when they were leaving, they just couldn't believe it. They were so happy, so excited, and they were so thankful that they got a present. Even the parents got a present, and she turned around. She was like, "I didn't even think I'd get a present." She was like, "You really don't have to." She was like, "Give it to someone else." And we were like, "No, there's enough. Please enjoy it." And she just broke down. She couldn't believe it. And that's why we do it. We were able to link her in with some of our other services. So we were able to help support her financially, help her clear some of her debt, help set up a budget and financial management with her, look at her property situation, and a range of different other things as well. And that was just one success story. Another guy, he hadn't been out of his house for so we work with one gentleman in particular, and he only comes out of his home to come to our Christmas meal. He's severely disabled, but the local council unfortunately aren't able to assist him with social services to actually go and take him out, to take him shopping. And we didn't realize this. And last year we'd spoken to him and said, "Oh, so what are your plans other than the Christmas meal?" He said, "Oh, I only come out to go to the Christmas meal." So in the past 13 years, he's been out three times because he only started coming 3 years ago. But he's been out three times because we've taken him out on Christmas Day. That was heartbreaking to us. I vowed that day, I said, we're going to make it that you can actually go out during the year. So we raised money towards travel expenses. So throughout over the last year, we've been able to visit him in his home, but also bring him out and actually take him on days out, take him shopping, take him to other places, connect him with the local council support, and they've actually agreed to fit in a ramp in his house because that was the main thing. He just didn't have a ramp, so no one could come in to take him out of his property. So we've been able to work with him to do that, and now he's actually out in his community, not just once a year, but whenever he wants to go. So that was a real privilege to be a part of that as well.
And that really shows that only like doing a very tiny little thing can also make someone's day and like someone's whole life just so happy and more
Absolutely.
enjoyable.
Yeah. That's it. That's why we do it. We love it. It's sad that we have to do it, but it's a real privilege to be able to spend my Christmas day with 200, 250 people, who so many people say this is the best Christmas I've ever had. And I'm like, look, I'm trying not to cry because, for me, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I know afterwards I'm then going to go home and spend time with my family. But for so many people, this is their Christmas day. And it's heartbreaking, but it is a privilege to be able to be a part of that.
That sounds amazing. I can already feel the warmth and like all of the love that I can imagine from all of the stories you told me. It's really heartwarming. And I was more so wondering on um how you think the shape of the foundation will be in a couple of years, maybe let's say like in the next year, how do you think you'll shape the foundation?
Sure. So the Hope Foundation was set up in 2020. The first 2 years we operated without an office because we were working on getting a physical location. Over the last 2 years, we've actually got a office building, which has a bunch of flats above it, and then a community centre. We opened the community centre this year, while running the other 5 projects over the last 4 years, if that makes sense. So our community centre is very new. We've been volunteer led up until about 2 months ago. So we have about 44 volunteers signed up to the Home Foundation working with us, helping us do what we do, make those make that massive difference in the community. We've now got 2 members of staff as well as the 44 volunteers. So we've already got our capacity's already increased dramatically this year alone. So our vision for this next year is to really take stock of what we've got. We've grown exponentially every year, doubled, tripled, quadrupled almost every year, which has allowed us to make a significant impact in the community. Now we've got a really strong team. We've got staff members. We've got a great board of trustees. We're looking to take stock and sort of take a breath and look at what we've got and really, really look at how we can refine it, but also increase and multiply with what we have. And then the next year, we're going to look at expanding once again. Over the next 5 years, we want to take on a number of properties, whether it's raise money to purchase properties, to actually open leases with landlords in our city to actually allow them to have fixed rent income, but then also allow us to house our tenants. But also we want to build some of our projects as well. Our community centre, we want to open a after school club for young people to actually give them something to do. It's something one of the needs we've recently addressed in the community. But we also want to expand the work that we're doing with refugees and also with people in supported accommodation and out of supported accommodation, just families who need long-term sustainable accommodation. So growth is our next step after we've taken a little bit of time this year to rest and see what we've got.
So with that growth, are you planning to expand throughout Liverpool or even further, like let's say Manchester or like even down south?
Yeah, so we currently work in Merseyside and Lancashire. There are 2 main areas of work. So our goal going forward is I try not to because I'm the type of person who I want to be everywhere. I want to do everything we can. So if
Yeah.
from my brain point of view, I want to see homelessness eradicated, poverty eradicated. So we'd be in every community, in every area. But again, we us doing that is not going to be effective. Partnership is what the most effective way of doing that is. So our goal is to increase partnership, really. It's to work with people. For example, the Christmas meal we have an operating manual where we can send out to people all across the country who might want to start a Christmas meal. It's all got all of our mistakes, all of our ideas, documents, letters that we send to funders and all that sort of thing. So anyone, anywhere can start a Christmas meal with this operating manual. We want to do that. We want to help people work together in the community to do that. With that said, opening other offices across the country is an option. So Lancashire, we have properties that we already have. So opening a office in Lancashire is the next thing to do. And there's also a few areas in Liverpool that we've identified that we want to start working in. We want to open a charity shop. We have quite a number of people that we work with who, over the years, um, sorry, not over the years, looking forward, have big goals. So part of our support that we offer, we do a 10 hours plus scheme. So all of our tenants that we work with, we'll give them something to do if they're supported tenants. Um, it's great to be able to sign them up to rehabilitation services if, for example, they're struggling with alcohol or addiction, but they need something fun to do. They need some hobbies. They need things they're going to enjoy. So that's where the 10 hours plus comes into. So we'll work with them. If they say, oh, I love gardening and I love things like that, we'll get them working on allotments and actually being able to grow things because it gives them a joy of being able to actually nurture something. If they want to work with construction or anything like that, we can help train and educate them. And that all comes in the 10 hours plus. Our vision for a charity shop is not just a place where we get our volunteers to work and our tenants to work to give them sort of opportunities, work and volunteering opportunities. But we want a warehouse. We want somewhere where people can, because we get donated so much furniture and it's great, but sometimes we have to turn it away because we don't have the space or it's just not great quality. We'd love a workshop where our tenants and volunteers can work in to upcycle furniture that can then be used to sell in our charity shop. But also the charity shop would have a coffee shop connected inside or very close to it. So we've got a few options there. We've got our our service users being trained up as baristas to work in the coffee shop. If they want to go into retail, they can work in our charity shop on the floor. If they want to go into construction and furniture restoration, we've got a qualified upholsterer who works with them to help them produce and make furniture and recycle it. So it's like a 3-in-1. And it's also a social enterprise, so it all generates further income for the charity. So that's our sort of, I should have mentioned that on the growth side of it, but that's our sort of next big project coming up when we've got another staff member joining us in about 2 weeks. He'll sort of look at working to grow that.
That absolutely sounds amazing because I've got a friend that works in a charity shop, and then every time I go there, I love charity shopping as a
Yeah,
massive hobby. I also go with a
yeah,
group of my friends, but whenever I go to hers, I always just start a conversation with her, and then everyone joins in, and it just becomes like a small community hub as well. And
yeah,
having that additional cafe and the whole idea of like it being a 3-in-1, where like people are also having jobs and doing what they want, sounds perfect. It's just
yeah,
what I guess it defines community.
yeah. Absolutely. What we want all of our projects to be sustainable. So that means being able to generate enough income that we don't have to rely on government funding or grants to run. And I think that would allow that to become sustainable with the different types of social enterprise connected to it. We also want them to be community focused. So we don't want to just go into community, make some money, and then sort of close our doors. Okay, come into our shop, leave now, come in, leave. We want to be the heart of every community, not for us to be, oh, look at us, we're in the community, but for actually the community to be able to come in and get the support and advice they need. When people come in, we want them to come to our shop, to our coffee shop, and feel like a weight's being lifted, like they are with their friends, with their family, and not just another shop. And we also want to give people that we work with a chance to grow. There's a real stigma around homelessness. There's a real stigma around people needing help and support, people in poverty. And we want to fight against that stigma. We want to come against it and go, everyone deserves a chance. Um, Everyone deserves an opportunity.
And as you said, there is that stigma around homeless people, and that sometimes there's also that hesitation from people that want to help and give money. What would you say to those individuals when they are questioning if giving money towards charities like this is the right thing or the wrong thing? What would you say to them?
I've got an official answer and an unofficial answer.
I want both. I want both.
Yeah. So the official answer is it's always best to support charities that are working alongside homelessness. So if you want to help a homeless person, it's always best to find a charity that's working with homelessness because more often than not, they'll have plans in place to, on the whole, make life better for homeless people in their community. So if you've got spare cash, support the local charity. The unofficial answer is, and actually, it is more real. These are humans on the street. So people will always say, "Oh, don't give money to homeless people." And I have to say, I do agree at times, but sometimes you just want to help. Buy a cup of coffee, buy some food. There are organizations on the streets giving out food, coffees, and things like that. But you've just got to go with how you feel, haven't you, at the end of the day? And if you want to give them a cup of coffee, give them a cup of tea, buy them some food, just do it. That's it's just. If I was homeless, I'd be very grateful for someone to come over and give me food or a coffee. We're all humans at the end of the day, so just be a nice person. It's not hard, is it?
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, as you said, we're all humans. We all want a good life for each other and a good life for ourselves. So I'll take that with me. We're all humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of people that we work with who are like rush sleepers and homeless, who we are just they do not believe that we're going to help them. They don't believe anyone wants to help them because their experience is they don't deserve help or the way they've been treated. I remember we had a homeless guy come into our office a couple of weeks back, and he was just coming into our coffee morning for a cup of tea and a sandwich. And we were just chatting, and I've seen him a few times. And as he was leaving, I was like, "Oh, good to see you." I went to shake his hand, and he was like, "Oh," he like flinched, and I was like, that was weird. And as I was waiting, he was like, "Oh, you sure?" And he looked at his hand, and maybe it was dirty. I don't know what he was looking at, but he was kind of like he almost felt embarrassed to shake my hand because he didn't think I'd want to shake his hand, and it really broke my heart because I was like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I almost wanted to give him a hug then. You know what I mean? But so I guess that, yeah, it's just we are all human. So yeah,
It's also just such a shame that we're in the 21st century and that still people can be so mean and like so just inhumane at points and just not have a care for other humans. It's just heartbreaking. But at the end of the day, as you said, we're all humans. And
yeah,
I would honestly give that man a really tight hug right now.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely,
no, I totally feel that as well.
yeah.
I think that is time for today. I want to thank you ever so much for joining this podcast and for everyone else that they came and saw this podcast and hopefully you also interact with this. And Steve, do you have anything you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for taking the time, like Ariane said, to listen to the work that we're doing. And it's a real privilege personally to be able to work in the work that I do. Um, I guess we, like you said, and like we just emphasize, we are all human. And I know there's so many different reasons why people might not want to get involved with this sort of thing. People have their own charities that they work with and sponsor and all that, and it's great that people are doing good things. I guess ultimately for us, we our difference that we're making in the community every day, we get people telling us for example, the housing, we just housed a family. They were turned around by the local family. They were told by the local council if to to prepare for the children to be taken off them and to actually go buy a tent because they're going to be going to live in the park. Um, we were able to house them, find them accommodation, and the whole situation turned around. And I think my ultimate message in this podcast is we are all human, and everyone just needs a second, everyone just needs a minute, everyone just needs a moment of time to, if you just give them that, sometimes that's enough. People feel like they've been rejected, people just feel like there's no support, no help available. But if nothing else, if you can't support financially, if you can't give in any way, that's totally fine. Just give a little time.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you to everyone else for joining. And I hope that everyone will have a lovely day.